Call of Duty World War II. Developer Sledgehammer Games. Publisher Activision. Price Superscript 1 4499 on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, Superscript 1 3799 on PC. Shifting gears from the modern setting of military shooters, DICE made a bold step to set their latest battlefield during World War I, which paid off with a rich campaign and superb multiplayer mode. Now, the new Call of Duty follows suit by going back to World War II in an attempt to go back to its roots. What's it about? World War II borrows heavily from films such as Dunkirk, Saving Private Ryan, Fury, or Flags of Our Fathers. In the sense, the game follows the Great War from the perspective of a group of soldiers from the famous 1st Infantry Division. You play as Private First Class Ronald Red Daniels along with his brothers-in-arms. The game predictably opens up in 1944 during the invasion of Normandy and then proceeds through the Battle of the Bulge and other famous battles that liberated France and won the war. The story, while patriotic and full of all those war movie tropes, ultimately feels been there done that, but the zombie mode is a lot of fun. How does it play? World War II does feel a lot like the classic Call of Duty games like 2008's World at War and those before that. There are a few notable additions, though, in the form of your squad mates who have special abilities, like handing you a med pack or ammo and generally warning you of enemies. In an age where games feature regenerating health, World War II brings back the medkit, which does force you to think a bit strategically. The gameplay on the whole feels like signature Call of Duty fare, from the movement to the prompts on screen. There's nothing really new here, no wheels reinvented. It's a game that takes a perfectly safe route in a tried and tested formula that desperately needs to give us something new. Sure, the visuals looked fantastic, depicting the flash, fury and flying dirt of war. It's impressive, but nothing new. Should you get it? If you want to kill some Nazis, you will have a better time in Wolfenstein 2. Yet, if you absolutely love Call of Duty, then World War II has everything you would expect from a Call of Duty game. South Park: The Fractured But Whole. Developer Ubisoft San Francisco. Publisher Ubisoft. Price Superscript 1 3599 for Xbox One and PS4, Superscript 1 999 for PC. The last South Park game, The Stick of Truth, sits at a glorious 90% on Metacritic. Made by the legendary Obsidian Entertainment, the RPG not only rose to the top of the charts but also became the definitive template of how a successful cartoon can be adapted into a video game. With that as its template, Ubisoft shifted the game to its San Francisco studio for the sequel, The Fractured But Whole. Let's see if the game has retained the fun that had made the previous title so good. What's it about? The beloved kids from South Park have switched from playing wizards to emulating superheroes. You play the new kid, who has to follow Eric Cartman and gang in the greatest superhero team-up ever against a shadowy villain, and thwart his absurd and outrageous plan. For those unfamiliar with South Park, the cartoon TV series, airing since 1997, isn't afraid to break new ground in profanity, absurdity and mostly scatalogical humor. The same has largely made its way into The Fractured But Whole, an apt title for a South Park game. Taking cues from Marvel and DC, The Fractured But Whole pokes fun at social media, video games, celebrities, politics and more in a largely enjoyable story. There's an inside joke hidden in nooks and crannies for fans of the show. To appreciate the humor, you will need a very broad horizon. How does it play? While The Fractured But Whole is more of a narrative, an exploration-based role-playing game, there is a grid-based battle system where you take turns moving your characters and unleashing attacks selected from a menu. This is a lot more exciting than it sounds, as you're allowed quite a reign of the battle grid, and the moves are quite flashy in their own charming way. The cel-shaded graphics feel like you're playing through a very long episode of the show. Everything has that handmade, paper cutout feel, with the same lazy animations, like the jumping walk that adds to the South Park vibe. Exploring the superhero town is addictive, and the dialogue and interactions are well written. Should you get it? If you are a fan of South Park, then by all means a fractured but whole is right up your alley. For the uninitiated, you've been warned.